Physicists, great thinkers, and philosophers in history, as well as brilliant scientific minds, have spent their entire lifetime striving to understand how an invisible field of energy and information, as well as the forces of nature, unify the material world. I want to demystify the realm of matter and introduce you to a roadmap on how to connect to a realm beyond our senses that you can only arrive at as an awareness or pure consciousness, dissociated from everything material. The world of space-time is the realm in which we live. It's our known universe. The world of time-space cannot be experienced with our senses, and its principles and laws transcend the laws of three-dimensional reality. In this realm beyond space and time, there are other laws that once you understand them, it will help you to create from the quantum field instead of from matter, producing greater effects in your life. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and in the previous episode, we journeyed into the quantum model of reality. In this episode, I want to further your understanding of energy, frequency, vibration, information, consciousness, and the realm of thought. Take a look around you and look at everything in this material world. You can see everything that has form and structure that's material, and it has height and depth and width. And because everything material has height and depth and width, we call this our three-dimensional world. And the world of matter we can only experience with our senses. Now let's talk about time. We experience time in a very linear way because we have a definite past that you can remember, and the past is a series of separate moments, and those heightened emotional moments become the definition of our past. Once we live in the past in linear time, in the present moment, as the brain is an anticipation machine, we're always trying to anticipate the future. And in a sense, we have a linear line of time, what physicists called a world line. So then, we remember the past, we can predict the future, and we experience time as something very linear. In this realm of the senses where we experience separation, that separation can be defined as duality or polarity. If I'm standing here and I notice I'm separate from something over there, if I want to move from one point of consciousness to another point of consciousness, if I'm local as a body, I have to move my body in three-dimensional reality from one point of awareness to another point of awareness. And as I begin to move through space or collapse space, I experience time. So then, because I'm separate, I have me here and you there, and if you look different than me or you appear as something unfamiliar, I experience more separation. And by the same means, if I'm here and I have my dreams somewhere in my future, my brain automatically calculates how long it's going to take for me to arrive at my dreams. Let's see, it took me this long to make this amount of money. I have to go to my job, maybe work some overtime to pay my bills to get what I want. And so, as we begin to set goals for ourselves, we have dreams, we have visions of our future. The way that we get them is we move our material body through space. And it means everything takes time in this three-dimensional reality. And this is the realm of Newtonian physics. The Newtonian world has everything to do with the known or the predictable. And because of Newton and his mathematical equations, we can begin to understand that everything in the material world can be predicted. So then, Descartes, back in the 1700s, was very interested in understanding the realm of matter and the realm of the mind. And what he did was he separated everything material and put it into the world of science, or what we call the sphere of science. Everything that was part of the mind was too convoluted and too unpredictable, and he left that to the church, the sphere of religion. As Descartes created this duality between mind and matter, when Newton came along and discovered his scientific formulas, he basically proved Descartes' theories that the outer world, the large universe, was very predictable. What's interesting about polarity and duality is we create from polarity and duality all the time. If you took away sight, hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling, you would have no experience of the three-dimensional world. So think of your senses as something that plug you into three-dimensional reality. By the same means, when you begin to interact in your external world and you see something that you want, the fact that you notice that you don't have it creates separation. So because you don't have it, you experience polarity or duality. And the next thing we do is we start to think about or dream of getting it. And if we start to think about and dream of some future, the next thing you know, you see yourself experiencing that future. But when you come back to your senses and the object or the experience isn't there, we experience more separation. Now throw in the hormones of stress. The hormones of stress heighten the senses and cause us to focus more on the material world. Then we always try to force outcomes, control outcomes, predict outcomes, fight for outcomes, manipulate outcomes. So then if you want to get what you want faster, what you're going to do is to move from one point of consciousness into your future, your dream, another point of awareness. And what most people do is they move faster. So if they think that they're moving faster through space, that it'll take less time. People are rushing all the time in a program into a future and never enjoying the moment. So this world of the senses is where you develop your personality, your identity. And that personality and identity is basically the memory bank of your neocortex, the known self. Now, if we are going to create from the field instead of from matter, then we have to dissociate from everything known in this three-dimensional world. And when we begin to dissociate from everything material in this three-dimensional reality, and we begin in the meditative process to close our eyes and disconnect from the environment, to get beyond our bodies and fall into the present moment and move out of that timeline of the predictable future and the familiar past, the moment we can become nobody, no one, no thing, no where, and no time, that is the moment we're taking our attention off of everything known. And as you continuously work for that present moment and open your awareness, as you keep doing that and sensing space, sensing energy, sensing nothing material, the act of opening your awareness begins to slow your brain waves down in your thinking neocortex. And if you're not thinking about your back pain, you're not thinking about your problems, you're not thinking about your coworkers, you're not thinking about all the errands you need to run, you're not thinking about your cell phone, if you're no longer activating those circuits in your brain, as you suppress this neocortex, the memory bank of your identity, you move from beta brainwave patterns to alpha brainwave patterns. And as the brain starts to integrate, as the brain starts to become more coherent, and as the heart starts to resonate in more balance, all of a sudden now, your brain slows down into low alpha and ultimately into theta. And in theta, there's very little activity in your thinking brain. And in a sense, the door between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is wide open. And you are conscious in your subconscious mind. And in this realm, we call this the fourth dimension. Why? Because Einstein said E equals mc squared. When you take matter and you bring it up to the speed of light, it's going to turn into energy. So the ceiling of this three-dimensional reality is the speed of light.